fast with the two men. Lewis well covered up with his arms in close as Mason tries to find his body. And again, that's a beautiful right uppercut from Lewis as Mason advanced. That's a bit of right hand from Mason, and that gave Lennox Lewis something to think about.
Mason imposed his strength on Lewis early, backing up the younger man for the first time in his career.
The last fight of Cooper's career. Mason's right eye is beginning to close. Lack of experience as a pro is certainly fighting coolly enough here, but he's hurt again by a right hand, but comes instantly back. Mason needs a KO blow here. And that was a better round for Mason.
Mason was arguably ahead on the cards after 5 or so rounds, but a previous eye injury came back to haunt him in a big way. Thereafter, Lennox began to disguise his left, piecing the champion apart over the next 6 minutes.
Becoming quite a brutal fight. And again he's picked off with... I don't know how long his courage can sustain him here. He's taking too much and he's badly hurt. He's screwed his face up in pain, and I really do think this is going to have to be brought to an end in a minute. But Mason is having one last desperate go in round 7. And it's called off. That was the last fling for Gary Mason.
Given the circumstances, it was an understandable stoppage that Mason himself took very well. However, you have to give him all the credit in the world for producing such a courageous rally right to the bitter end.
I have to give enough respect to Gary Mason. You know, he's really good. And I said to the reporters before this fight, as soon as he feels me hitting him in his eye, he's going to think about it, and it's going to affect him mentally. And what he tried to do was try and get me out of there as soon as possible, because he felt that his eye was going to go.
Lennox was right, but the truth is, Mason should have never been allowed to partake in the fight to begin with. Mason suffered a detached retina one fight before his showdown with Lennox, and it was a serious one that required serious surgery. He was forced to retire after the Lennox fight due to his injury. He eventually returned for 2 more bouts 3 years later, but once again his slightly damaged eye became a problem, and he hung him up for good in 1994 with a record of 37 wins and 1 loss.
Yes, it was very serious. A detached retina to anybody serious, because I'm sure everybody values their sight. And like I, of course, value my sight.
Mason provided Lennox with one of the toughest fights he would have in his entire career, particularly in the fights he won. The bout really served its purpose as a great test and learning outing for the man who would go on to be Britain's best ever 200-plus pounder and one of the finest heavyweight champions across the entire history of the sport.
Lennox Lewis is the best. I lay them all to rest.
Mason sadly passed away after a terrible automobile collision in 2011. By all accounts, he was a great man, nicknamed the Gentle Giant right up to his unfortunate passing.
He did a lot for children's hospices, he did a lot for children's hospitals, and he did a lot for underprivileged children in the main. But what I can tell you about Gary is that not only was a big man, he had the biggest heart ever.
Over 1,000 people attended Mason's funeral, a man that will be sorely missed. Rest in peace.